Welcome to the Google Next Keynote, live from Tokyo. Here are your hosts, Kaori Negoro and Masa Sato.
NEXT 基調講演をご覧の皆様、おはようございます。Google クラウドのネゴロです。この基調講演をカスタマーエンジニア部門のマサさんと一緒に進行してまいります。
ご視聴ありがとうございます。Google クラウドの佐藤です。香織さん、オープニングキーノートはご覧になりましたか？
はい、たくさんの発表を見てワクワクしました。
DX を進めるさまざまな業界のお客様の紹介や多くのプロダクトのアナウンスメントがありましたね。
はい、このワクワクをこれから日本の皆様にお届けできることをとても嬉しく思います。
この基調講演ではまず前半 Google クラウドを使ってデジタルトランスフォーメーションに取り組むビジネスオーナーの声を、そして後半はニューヨークのオープニングキーノートで発表したプロダクトのリリースの中でも特に重要なトピックを日本の皆様に向けてお届けします。
それでは早速参りましょう。 Google クラウド CEO トーマス・キュリアンからのメッセージです。
Hello Tokyo. This year's Google Cloud Next is being held around the world, in New York, California, and now coming across the Pacific to Tokyo. I'm very honored to join you today. Navigating these past 2.5 years has been a challenge for organizations as they grapple with changing customer demands and greater economic uncertainty. One trend that has quickly emerged is that many companies across every industry have realized that digital transformation has to be an urgent priority for business recovery and future growth. For example, in retail, we've seen the shift to e-commerce. In manufacturing, we're seeing a rise of the digital factory. And in finance, we've seen a sharp increase in online banking. A lot of cloud work to date has been focused solely on cost optimization, reducing cost by moving technology to the cloud and using collaboration tools to be more efficient. But as we look forward and speak with customers and companies around the world, they want more than just cost optimization. They also want value creation. Cloud has to deliver more value and more innovation to organizations. That's why our mission is to accelerate every organization's ability to digitally transform its business. And we've been proud to partner with companies and government institutions to help them adapt to the new reality. For example, we're working with Japanese companies that are leading their industries, including manufacturers like Lixil for product management and quality control, Yamaha Motor for customer experience advancement, retailers like 7-Eleven Japan to link their point of sales data at physical stores to various services in real time, and H2O Retailing to accelerate employee collaboration with affiliated companies using Google Workspace. The global economy has shifted in the wake of COVID-19, and customers tell us a scarcity of in-house talent is a major barrier to innovation. As cloud adoption grows, traditional IT roles are also shifting to reflect a broader mandate that bridges technology and business strategy. We're proud to work with the Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications, the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry with over 70 partners, and the Digital Agency to build the Japan Reskilling Consortium, an initiative to help everyone in Japan receive reskilling and job opportunities. And as part of reskilling opportunities, we're also proud to offer Innovators Hive to the Japanese developer community. This is a global, in-person gathering that will be broadcasted live around the world and bring developers together with our product and engineering leaders for hands-on technical discussions. It's a great opportunity for developers to build their networks and enhance their skills. Our mission is to accelerate every organization's ability to digitally transform, and we look forward to continuing to partner with you and to help you take advantage of all the benefits our transformation cloud has to offer you. We're committed to the digital transformation of all businesses across Japan, and we continue to invest in our cloud regions to support sovereignty, security, and sustainability while we create more value together on your terms. Thank you again for joining us today, and I hope each of you enjoys Google Cloud Next.
Thank you, Thomas. 続いて Google クラウド日本代表の平手より挨拶とお客様のご紹介です。平手さん、よろしくお願いします。
皆様おはようございます。この度は Google クラウド Next 基調講演をご視聴いただき誠にありがとうございます。まず最初に Next に協賛をいただいております日本のパートナー企業様に心より感謝を申し上げます。世界中の5つの都市をつなげながら最新のクラウドの価値をお届けするこのグローバルイベントを実現できましたのもパートナー企業の皆様のおかげでございます。本当にありがとうございます。心より御礼申し上げます。さて CEO のトーマスが冒頭で触れました通り、ここ数年で人々の行動様式は大きく変化いたしました。これに伴い多くの企業においてデータ経営の重要性がこれまで以上に高まっており、企業のデータ収集、分析、活用で生産性の向上やより高度化された顧客体験の提供が著しく加速しています。弊社では昨年からトランスフォーメーションクラウドという戦略を提唱し、Google クラウドを活用したお客様のデータドリブンな変革の実現にご一緒に取り組んでまいりました。ここではそうした Google クラウドを活用した最先端の事例をご紹介申し上げます。セブンイレブン様はパワーオブザヒューマン、つまり人が持つ力を最大化することを最も大切にされている企業様です。創業から間もなく50年、お客様の目線で考えることを徹底して進化を遂げていらっしゃいます。80年代、90年代から積極的に IT 投資を行っていらっしゃいましたが、時代の変化とともにお客様の考え方がより多様化し、働き方も変わっていく中で、さらなる IT の進化が必要であると考えられました。そこでオープンで変化対応力に強いデジタル基盤の構築を Google クラウドを採用して進めていらっしゃいます。人を IT に置き換えるのではなく、人のパフォーマンスを最大化するための IT 活用を志し、DX を進めていらっしゃいます。それでは株式会社セブンイレブンジャパン様のお話をご覧ください。
次の時代に対応していくためにはいかにして IT/DX を通じたイノベーションを行っていくかが大きな課題の一つであると考えています。そこで全く新しいデジタルデータ基盤としてセブンセントラルを構築し、2020年に稼働を開始しました。
セブンセントラルは Google クラウドでですね、非常にコントローラブルで性能のいいデータ基盤を作っていくということで、かなり SEJ の意思が、セブンイレブンの意思が入った基盤なんですね。パブサブですとかデータフローですとか、そういった機能をフル活用して、すでにすごく実績のあるビッグクエリーと、で我々にとっては初の採用になったスパナーですね。もうそのデータベースのパフォーマンスがものすごくてですね、今セントラルというものが構築をされています。北北海道から南沖縄の お買い物されたデータっていうのがこれまではですねもう31時間大体かかっていたデータが1分で見れるということで破壊的なスピードで感謝してるっていうふうに言われてます。創業当初からですね実はセブンイレブンってシステム投資というのは非常に盛んに行ってきたんですね。ですけれどもそれが大きくなるがゆえにですねやっぱり最新のその技術というものがなかなか取り入れられなくなってたということも事実で Google クラウドのような最新かつ非常に性能のいいプラットフォームでシステムを再構築する、それが一つの DX の一つの大きい我々の取り組みでもあるので、こういった今そのタイミングで Google クラウドを活用しています。
現実の店舗の在庫データがリアルタイムに連携できるようになったことでセブンイレブンアプリなどのさまざまなサービスがお客様にとってストレスのない状態で提供できるようになりました。さまざまなテクノロジーを活用しながら私たちは近くて便利の実現を目指し今後もお客様に新しい買い物体験を提供していきます。
長松様、西村様、ありがとうございました。セブンイレブンジャパン様ではこの先もさらなるデータ活用の計画をお持ちです。ご一緒できるのが本当に楽しみです。それでは次のビジネス変革の事例をご紹介いたしましょう。ニトリ様は製造物流 IT 小売業という独自のビジネスモデルを強みとし、かねてより IT を戦略的にビジネスに活用されています。今年6月には IT デジタルの戦略の中核となる新会社ニトリデジタルベースを設立され、さらなるデジタル変革を進めておられます。ニトリ様ではオフラインとオンライン、つまり店舗のみならず EC サイトやアプリといったデジタルの接点を掛け合わせ、お客様により快適なお買い物体験を提供することを目指されています。この鍵となるのがデータの即時活用です。データを軸としたデジタル変革を推進するパートナーとしてこの度 Google クラウドをご選定いただきました。弊社は引き続きニトリ様のデータによるお客様理解の促進および顧客体験の向上にご一緒に取り組ませていただきます。それではニトリ様が取り組まれますデジタル変革のストーリーをご覧ください。
今ニトリの製造物流小売っていうところがあるんですが、それらを全部つなげる上ではやはりこの IT 部門を自前でどんどん進めていくっていうところでニトリデジタルベースっていう会社を今回設立しました。
運用のパフォーマンスの高さ、柔軟性、そういうものを求めてですねGoogle クラウドを選定させていただきました。ビッグクエリに関しては既存のデータベースで扱ってきたデータ、それはもう完全に 100% 移行はさせます。でさらにはお客様の行動データですとか、それとかオンラインオフラインのお客様との関連性をきちんと持たせるですとか、そういった今まで分析したくてもできなかった部分、そういう新しいデータをどんどんそこに入れていきたいというふうには考えています。この一元的に構築されたシステムを通して、それこそ社内の業務効率ですよね。例えばですね、在庫のダブ付き含めですね、大きな無駄っていうものが発生します。適切な在庫を運ぶっていうことは、それこそ CO2 の削減ですとか、そういったことにもつながるさまざまな効果っていうものがあります。適切な量を作って適切な量を運んで、ニトリができる一番大きな効率化、無駄をなくすという部分になると思います。
Google クラウドさんを使うことによっていろんなデータが分析ができるようになったり、それから例えば何が売れてるかとかということはデータで分かるんですが、なぜそういうような数字が出てきているのかっていうところはもっとお客様の購入履歴とか、それから購入までのプロセスとか、そういうところを分析することによって、そのなぜの部分っていうのをしっかり我々把握していきながら、より多くの世界中のお客様に対して住まいの豊かさを提供していこうということを大きなロマンとして掲げてて、その今真っ只中にいるというような状態です。
白井様、佐藤様、ありがとうございました。 ニトリ様のお取り組みは業界での大きな指針になると考えており、しっかりとご一緒に取り組ませていただくのが大変楽しみでございます。さて次に、コミュニケーションを軸としたイノベーティブなビジネスの変革のために Google ワークスペースをご導入いただいた日本航空様をご紹介申し上げます。これまで世界中のあらゆる場所でさまざまな現場とつながりながら業務を推進されていた日本航空様は、現場のスタッフの方々や関連会社の皆様との連携をより強めるために、かねてよりコミュニケーションの在り方を抜本的に変革しようとされていました。今回のパンデミックがその重要性をさらに高めたと伺っております。そこで場所、デバイス、そしてツールの制約にとらわれず、現場でモバイルやタブレットを使いながら多岐にわたる業種・業態をつなぐよりオープンなコミュニケーションを実現するために、さまざまな情報をクラウドで共有することで、誰もが必要な時に必要な情報を世界からリアルタイムにアクセスできる Google ワークスペースをご選定いただきました。この先進的なロケーションフリー、デバイスフリーなコミュニケーションをベースに、日本航空様はさらなるビジネス変革を進められております。それでは日本航空岡様のメッセージをぜひお聞きください。
NEXT をご視聴の皆さん、こんにちは。私たちは日本と世界を結ぶ航空会社です。当社は以前から社員の9割が飛んでいる飛行機の中も含めて世界中のあらゆる場所でさまざまな端末を使って仕事をしてきましたが、新型コロナウイルス感染症によって残り1割のデスクワーカーもそれに加わることになりました。 Google ワークスペースを使うことによって、それら全ての社員がリアルタイムで同じ情報にアクセスすることが実現できています。そんな私たちが Google クラウドのサービスに可能性を感じている点を2つ申し上げます。1つ目は IT インフラ面における Google の基礎技術です。 Google には他社と同じようなサービスでなく、 Google の技術力を生かした他社では実現できないサービスを期待しています。例えばビッグデータの取り扱いにおいて、他社では扱えないような巨大データを他社では実現できないスピードで処理できる、そのようなサービスを私たちのビジネスでも活かせるのではないかと考えています。2つ目は IT ユースケースにおける Google の応用技術です。 Google は例えば動画配信や画像認識、音声認識などの基礎技術をコンシューマービジネスに応用され、長年かけて商品を磨かれて高いユーザビリティを持つ商品を多くの消費者に提供なさっています。そのノウハウを私たちも活用し、社員が使い慣れた UI/UX で効率的に仕事をできる、そのような変革ができるのではないかと考えています。 Google にはこれからも高い技術力と UI/UX で世界のデジタルトランスフォーメーションをリードしていただける、私はそう確信しています。当社も Google の力を借りながら、世界で一番お客様に選ばれ愛される航空会社を目指します。
お客様満足度を最大の企業バリューに置かれる日本航空様の変革にご一緒に取り組ませていただくことは我々にとって大変光栄なことです。岡様、素晴らしいメッセージ本当にありがとうございました。さて、ここからは再び香織さん、マサさんにバトンをお戻ししましょう。まだまだ基調講演は続きます。 ぜひ最後までお楽しみください。
平手さん、ありがとうございました。さて、ここからは昨晩発表したばかりのオープニングキーノートから特に日本の皆様にお届けしたい内容を解説していきます。ちょっとドキドキしますね、香織さん。
はい、このライブ感は久しぶりで緊張感がありますね。それではニューヨークで発表したプロダクトアップデートからよりすぐりのトピックをご紹介します。キヨさん、お願いします。キヨさん、早速ですがニューヨークのオープニングキーノートの全体感を教えていただけますか？
はい、Google クラウドは企業がデジタルトランスフォーメーションを推進していくにあたり、それを支える人材やカルチャーが重要であると考えています。今回のオープニングキーノートでもデジタルトランスフォーメーションに関わるそれぞれの人の役割にフォーカスを当て、次の世代のクラウドとしての Google クラウドの最新アップデートを紹介しました。
なるほど。どのような方々にフォーカスが当てられていたんでしょうか？
役割としてはデータ担当者、デベロッパー、IT 担当者、セキュリティ担当者、従業員、そして世界という6つの分類になります。
それではそれぞれの役割とそれにまつわるプロダクトのアップデートに関して解説をお願いできますか？
でははじめにデータ担当者へのアップデートからご紹介します。企業におけるデジタルトランスフォーメーションの成功には、データおよびそれを扱うデータ担当者は今や欠かすことのできない役割を担っています。しかし従来の IT ではデータのサイロ化から始まり、扱えるデータのフォーマット、ガバナンス、また機械学習や AI でのデータ活用など依然として解決すべき課題がたくさんあるという話を聞きます。今回1つ目の発表としてビッグクエリーを中心としたデータクラウドにおけるワークロードの拡大がありました。今年前半に発表したデータレイクとデータウェアハウスを統合したビッグレイクにおいて、オープンテーブルフォーマットのアパッチアイスバーグのサポートを発表しました。これ以外にもデータクラウドアライアンスの取り組みとして数多くのサードパーティー製品とビッグクエリーやデータ系サービスの連携も紹介しています。さらにビッグクエリー上で SQL だけでなくスパークの処理も実行できるようになりました。これにより従来個別で運用していたスパークのクラスターが不要になる上、システム間でのデータの複製も必要なくなります。
ビッグクエリーがさまざまなサードパーティー製品との接続が行えることで、データクラウドのエコシステムが実現できるということですかね。
そうですね。セッションの中でも800を超えるソフトウェアパートナーが Google クラウド上でデータクラウドを実現しているという紹介がありました。次に2つ目の発表として Google が BI ダッシュボードツールとして提供しているデータアクセスガバナンスに強みを持つルッカーとセルフサービスで簡単にデータの可視化ができるデータポータルの2つが統合となりました。データポータルをルッカースタジオとして引き続き無償版で提供し、プロフェッショナル版として有償サポートおよび強固なガバナンス機能を持つルッカースタジオプロを発表しました。3つ目の発表はバーテックス AI ビジョンです。映像データなどを活用した AI による洞察や推論ニーズが増えてきている中、フルマネージドでコンピュータービジョンアプリケーションの開発を簡単に行えるようになります。オープニングキーノートでは交通カメラの映像をもとにバーテックス AI ビジョンのプリビルドされた AI モデルを活用して交差点の交通量から将来の混雑状況を推測するまでのプロセスを数分で GUI を使って組み上げるデモを紹介しました。そして AI という観点でもう一つ、スンダーも触れていた135言語をサポートしたエンタープライズレベルのドキュメント翻訳 AI エージェントとしてトランスレーションハブを発表しました。こちらも単なる翻訳ではなく、業種ごとに準備されたカスタムモデルを利用し、より精度の高い翻訳を実現するとともに、画面上でレビュープロセスまで管理できるようになります。
このようなローンチを踏まえてデータ関連の担当者にはどのような影響が想定されますか？
オープンデータクラウドが一つのキーワードになります。サイロ化されたデータの統合にはまだまだ多くの課題やチャレンジがある中で、ビッグクエリーを中心とし実現できるデータワークロードが増えたことは、多様化するソリューションの選定におけるデータ担当者の悩みの一つを解決することが期待できます。
なるほど、オープン化がサイロ化の解決につながるということですね。ありがとうございます。次にデベロッパー向けのアップデートを教えてください。
クラウドの活用により開発プロセスが多様化し複雑化する中で、脆弱性やセキュリティを考慮したアプリケーション開発を進めるには、今まで以上にデベロッパーに対して幅広い知識やスキルが求められるようになってきています。これに対してコーディングからデプロイまでの開発プロセスに Google が培ってきた AI やセキュリティのノウハウを組み入れることで、デベロッパーがより早くセキュアにアプリケーション開発を行えるゴールデンパスソリューションとしてソフトウェアデリバリーシールドを発表しました。このソフトウェアデリバリーシールドは4つのコンポーネントで構成されています。1つ目はリモートでセンシティブなデータを扱う開発者に対してよりセキュアなクラウド開発環境を提供するクラウドワークステーションズ。2つ目は Google が脆弱性のスキャン、分析、ファジングを行った250以上の Java や Python 向けのパッケージをセキュアソフトウェアライブラリーとして提供するアシュアードオープンソースソフトウェアサービス。3つ目はフルマネージドの CI 環境を提供するクラウドビルドがソフトウェア開発ライフサイクルにおける安全性を確保するためのベストプラクティスであるサルサレベル3コンプライアンスバイデフォルトに対応しました。そして4つ目としてシステムが稼働するコンテナワークロードにおけるセキュリティに関するアドバイスを提供する GKE セキュリティマネジメントダッシュボードを発表しました。
つまりデベロッパーの方々はクラウド上で安全に開発ができ、 Google が安全を確認したライブラリを使ってビルドする際、そしてデプロイした後もセキュリティベストプラクティスが常に自動的に適用されるということですね。これらは全部使わないといけないんでしょうか？
いいポイントですね。必ずしも全てを使わなければいけないということではありません。今回これら4つのツールをセットとしてソフトウェアサプライチェーンセキュリティにおけるゴールデンパスという形で提供しているため、デベロッパーの方々は必要なツールを開発プロセスの中に組み込んでいただくことで、開発時のセキュリティ面での負担を大幅に軽減することができると思います。
なるほど、開発段階からセキュリティがチェックできるのは企業にとっても安心ですね。それでは次に IT 担当者向けのアップデートをお願いします。
デジタルトランスフォーメーションを実現する上で IT 担当者はさまざまなワークロードに応じた適切なインフラの選定が重要となります。我々 Google クラウドはワークロードオプティマイズドインフラストラクチャーとしてあらゆるワークロードに対してパフォーマンス、スケーラビリティ、管理性、そしてコストの観点から最適なものを選択いただけるインフラストラクチャープラットフォームを展開しています。
今回の発表でもワークロードに沿ってアップデートに触れられていましたね。代表的なものをピックアップしてご紹介いただけますか？
はい、まずは AI ワークロードから。 Google が AI 向けに開発したプロセッサーとしてテンサープロセッシングユニット TPU をご存知の方は多いかと思いますが、本日第4世代となる TPU-V4 を一般提供としてリリースしました。この TPU-V4 は大規模機械学習において従来のものと比べても 80% 以上高速で 50% 以上コスト削減を実現しています。さらに NVIDIA との AI 領域でのパートナーシップを強化し、最新の GPU の採用なども発表しました。次にハイパフォーマンスコンピューティングのワークロードとして最新のインテルプロセッサーサファイアラピッドを搭載した C3VM インスタンスの発表があります。この VM は 200GBps の低レイテンシーネットワークを持ち、さまざまな HPC ワークロードでの活用が期待できます。そしてもう一つ、 インスタンスのタイプやサイズに依存せず高速なディスクアクセスを実現するハイパーディスクも発表しました。これによりインスタンスによっては 80% 以上の IPS 性能の向上が見込まれます。
Google が開発した TPU だけではなく NVIDIA やインテルなどの最新の技術がすぐに利用できるのもクラウドのメリットですよね。
はい、どなたでもすぐに触れて検証できる環境が手に入るのはクラウドならではですね。そして最後にトラディショナルなワークロードに向けて東京リージョンでもご利用いただける Google クラウド VMware エンジン GCVE は既存の VMware ワークロードを完全に自動化して Google クラウド上にリフトできるサービスです。新しい VMware ユニバーサルインテグレーションのサポートにより既存の VMware コンソールやツールを利用し Google クラウド上にシームレスにプライベートクラウドを構成管理することができるようになりました。
ありがとうございます。IT 担当者にとって既存のワークロードにどうクラウドを活用していくのか選択肢はたくさんありそうですね。
はい、最新の Google、NVIDIA、インテル等のテクノロジーを利用いただきワークロードをモダナイズしていただくこともできますし、もちろん既存の仕組みを生かしそのままクラウドにリフトいただくことでコストの最適化という選択肢も取っていただくことができるかと思います。
それではセキュリティ担当者向けのアップデートに行きましょう。セキュリティは常に企業にとって重要事項だと思いますが、サイバーセキュリティプロフェッショナルの人材が不足しているという話もよく耳にします。今回どのようなアップデートがあったのでしょうか。
おっしゃる通り、日々巧妙化する脅威からいかに組織を守るかということに関しては CIO をはじめとしたセキュリティチーム、そして経営層にとっても最重要事項です。Google クラウドではインビジブルセキュリティと題して組み込まれたセキュリティ、簡素化されたオペレーション、シェアードレスポンシビリティからシェアードフェイトへのシフトというものを推進してきました。特にこのシェアードフェイトとは Google クラウドが皆様とより密接に連携しベストプラクティスやガイドを提供させていただきながら皆様のインフラを共にセキュアにする責任を持つという考え方になります。我々 Google クラウドが培ってきたセキュリティに関するナレッジをサービスとして提供するにあたり、今回2つアップデートがありました。1つ目がクロニクルのセキュリティオペレーションズの発表です。クロニクルはクラウドネイティブな脅威検出を行う CIEM サービスとして多くの方々に利用いただいてますが、今回新たにセキュリティオーケストレーション、オートメーション&レスポンス、SOAR の機能を追加しました。これによりセキュリティインシデントにおける対応オペレーションが自動化され、脅威に対するサイバーセキュリティチームの運用負担を軽減できるようになります。
クロニクルは2019年に Google クラウドのセキュリティ製品ポートフォリオを強化するために統合されたサービスでしたよね。
そうですね。そしてもう一つのアップデートとしてサイバーセキュリティ企業のマンディアントと Google クラウドによる新たな取り組みを発表しました。マンディアントはサイバー防御、脅威インテリジェンス、インシデント対応サービスにおけるリーダー企業であり、 Google クラウドの持つビッグデータと分析の強み、そしてマンディアントのコンサルティングセキュリティソリューションを組み合わせることで多くの企業におけるサイバーセキュリティの脅威に対し防御、検知、対応を我々 Google クラウドが支援できるようになります。
マンディエントに関する発表は驚きでしたよね。今回の発表でセキュリティ担当者にはどのようなメリットがあるのでしょうか。
はい、クロニクルおよびマンディアンとともに Google が持つセキュリティナレッジをサービスやコンサルテーションとして活用いただけるため、セキュリティ担当者の負担を大幅に軽減できるかと思います。
なるほど、企業におけるセキュリティプロフェッショナルの人員確保が難しいという話を挙げましたが、そういった領域でも Google クラウドが貢献できそうですね。それでは従業員の皆様への発表に移りましょうか。
仕事環境が多様化し、ハイブリッドワーカーがニューノーマルとしてなっている中で Google ワークスペースは オフィスおよびデジタルスペースでもチームの生産性を下げることなくコラボレーションが可能なコミュニケーションツールとして世界中で30億を超えるユーザーに利用いただいています。今回の発表ではワークスペースによる次世代コラボレーション体験を提供するスマートキャンパス、オフィスとデジタルスペースのギャップを軽減するイマーシブコネクションの2つがフィーチャーされていました。Google ドキュメント上でアットマークを入力することでさまざまな情報やテンプレートを文章内に挿入できるスマートキャンパスは今回新たに Salesforce や Zendesk などサードパーティーアプリでも利用できるようになりました。 Google Meet においてもノイズキャンセルや明るさの自動調整などの機能追加に続きプレゼンターとプレゼン資料を一つのビューで表示するスピーカースポットライトインスライドを発表しました。さらにセキュリティ機能の強化として Gmail および Google カレンダーが新たにクライアントサイドエンクリプションをサポートしました。そして Google チャットにはデータロスプリベンション機能を追加したことによりリアルタイムにチャットを通じたセンシティブデータの漏洩を未然に防ぐことが可能になりました。
Google ワークスペースは仕事に直結するツールなので、細かいアップデートでも仕事の効率化にインパクトありますよね。特に最近はリモートワークの方とオフィスワークの方のコミュニケーションが課題になっているので、ユーザーインターフェースのアップデートは大きな影響があると感じています。それでは最後に今世界中の人々が注目しているサステナビリティに関してのアップデートをお願いします。
はい、まさにサステナビリティに対する取り組みは今や世界中の人々、政府、企業の関心事の一つになっています。 Google クラウドとしてもさまざまな取り組みを行っている中で直接お客様に貢献できるものの一つとしてデータセンターを含めた事業運営におけるカーボンフリーへの取り組みに力を入れています。そして本日クラウドの二酸化炭素排出量の測定とレポートを行う Google クラウドカーボンフットプリントを一般提供としてリリースしました。 Google クラウドのお客様はそれぞれの管理コンソールを通してこれらの情報を参照することが可能となります。
Google クラウドを選ぶことで自社のインフラがクリーンなインフラになるということですね。
そうですね。企業がサステナビリティに取り組む際にデジタルトランスフォーメーションの要となるコンピューターリソースを Google クラウドにシフトいただくことでクリーンエネルギーの運慶を受けられるようになります。我々 Google はクリーンエネルギーのシフトだけではなく AI を活用したエネルギーの利用効率化にも取り組んでいます。
今回解説いただいた内容はオープニングキーノートのほんの一部です。ぜひ実際のセッションにてデモを含むすべての発表をご確認ください。それではキヨさんありがとうございました。
非常にワクワクするプロダクトアップデートでしたね、香織さん。
はい、昨晩発表されたばかりの内容を日本のお客様に日本語でお届けするというミッションを、キヨさん果たしてくれたんじゃないかと思います。
続いてはデベロッパーキーノートを解説していただきましょう。それではエマさんよろしくお願いします。
こんにちは。ここからはデベロッパーキーノートのハイライトをお伝えします。私はデベロッパーアドボケイトの岩尾と申します。デベロッパーキーノートでは Google が2025年までに実現すると予測する業界のトレンドを10の分野において取り上げました。今日はその中から4つ特に掘り下げて見てみましょう。
はい、では早速1つ目のトピックから見ていきましょう。アクセシビリティですね。予想はニューロインクルーシブなデザインを取り入れた開発者は最初の2年で5倍のユーザー成長を実現するということです。ニューロインクルーシブとはどういう意味でしょうか。
新しい言葉ですよね。まず認知スキルや才能が典型的ではない人のことをニューロディスティンクトと呼び、典型的な人をニューロティピカルと呼んでいます。ニューロダイバーシティはこの2種類からのグループからなる多様性を指します。言い換えるとニューロダイバーシティは私たちが身の回りの出来事を体験、解釈、処理していく過程の多様さとも言えます。 この多様な思考や認知に対するアクセシビリティのことをニューロインクルーシブデザインと呼んでいます。
アメリカ国立衛生研究所の研究によると、人口の最大 20% がニューロディスクティンクトだと推計されているそうですね。
はい、人口の 20% がニューロディスティンクトであるとすると、ニューロインクルーシブなデザインは重要になってきますよね。Google では私たちの職場を含めた世界中がこういったさまざまな思考の過程を持つ人たちをニューロインクルーシブなデザインの原則を取り入れた製品開発に取り組んでいます。その原則とは、シンプルで明確なデザイン、余分なアニメーションなど気が散る要素をなくす、明るすぎる色や紛らわしい色を避ける、直感的なフローを採用する、余計な音楽や効果音を鳴らさない、ユーザーに時間制限のある選択を迫らないです。また Google ではこれらの原則に加えて、企画、ユーザーリサーチ、テスト、マーケティングなどすべての過程でさまざまな思考の過程を持つ人を意図的に含めるようにしています。その結果、インクルーシブということについて新しい見方ができるようになりました。一例として Google Meet に字幕機能を搭載しました。字幕はニューロディスティンクトなユーザーの役に立つのはもちろんのこと、視覚情報を通じて情報を処理する人々の助けにもなります。
私も英語の会議で字幕が出ると聞き取れなかった単語を確認できるので非常に助かっています。
ありますよね。私たちが得た教訓は、ニューロディスティンクトな人の役に立つことはすべての人の役に立つということです。皆様の開発者としての仕事は、よりシンプルで簡潔な気が散りにくいユーザー体験を提供することです。ニューロインクルーシブなデザインを取り入れるということは、製品が心地の良い居場所になるということでもあります。これによってより多くのユーザーを引きつけ定着させることができるでしょ
う。では次に参りましょう。2つ目の振り返りはデータベースです。予想は何だったかというと、分析系とトランザクション系のクエリの壁がほぼ消失するでした。この2種類のクエリは歴史的な背景もあって分離されていたかと思います。エマさん、こちらはいかがでしょうか。
そうですね。これまでのデータアーキテクチャでは、トランザクション系と分析系のシステムは必ずと言っていいほど分離されてきました。この分離設計には合理的な理由がありましたが、現在ではこの2種類を統合して扱いたい場面が増えています。
特にビジネス上の意思決定をより迅速かつデータドリブンに行うためには、トランザクション系のデータベースからリアルタイムにデータを活用するということが必要な場合が増えてきています。
はい、そのような場合に従来は2種類のワークロードを統合するために複雑なシステム設計やプロセスが要求されました。 Google はこれら2種類のワークロードのどちらも単一のシステムとして扱えるような技術を開発してきました。トランザクション系と分析系の壁をなくし、これら2つの違いを意識することなく、どんなワークロードも実行できる選択肢を用意することが私たちの目標です。今日は特にクラウドスパナー、クラウド SQL、ビッグテーブルといった運用系データベースに対してビッグクエリ上で直接分析クエリを実行できる連携クエリと、ポストグレ SQL 互換でより高速な AlloyDB をご紹介します。連携クエリを利用すると、クラウドスパナーやクラウド SQL に保存したテーブルとビッグクエリのデータを単一のクエリとして実行することができます。例えばこの画面のクエリ例では、クラウド SQL とビッグクエリのデータを統合して必要なデータだけを取り出しています。複数のシステムにまたがっているにもかかわらず 2.68TB のデータを55秒で処理しています。次に AlloyDB のご紹介です。AlloyDB はポストグレ SQL との完全な互換性を提供しつつ、トランザクションワークロードでは4倍、分析クエリでは最大100倍の性能を提供するフルマネージドデータベースサービスです。そして既存のポストグレ SQL から AlloyDB への移行をサポートするのが DMS、データマイグレーションサービスです。既存のデータベースから AlloyDB へのレプリケーションによって最小限のダウンタイムでの移行を可能にします。
なるほど。完全互換ということは AlloyDB に移行するとアプリケーションの変更なしで数倍から数十倍の性能向上が図れるわけですね。
その通りです。ここでご紹介したいのが、日本のパートナープレイド様がハイブリッドワークロードを実現するために AlloyDB を採用された事例です。AlloyDB をポストグレ SQL との互換性を保ちつつ、 分析系とトランザクション系のクエリを統合して実行できるプラットフォームとして採用されています。
なるほど、たくさんの応用が考えられそうな技術ですね。では次に参りましょう。デベロッパーキーノートで大きく取り上げられた話題の中にサスティナビリティがありましたね。予想は4人に3人の開発者がサスティナビリティを第一の開発原則として取り入れるでした。エマさん、解説をお願いできますか？
はい、これは私も関心が高い分野です。今までのシステム開発の重点は開発速度、セキュリティ、費用、複雑度といったところにありました。それに加えてサステイナブルに開発する時代がやってきました。気候変動の影響は深刻で、気候に対する影響を抑えるために排出の目標値を達成することが世界中の緊急の課題になっています。Google の調査では 65% の経営幹部がサステナビリティを改善したいが方法がわからないと答えています。また 36% がサステナビリティの改善を把握するツールがないと答えました。先ほど紹介された Google クラウドカーボンフットプリントは事業が環境に及ぼす影響を把握するためのツールです。このツールを使用すると、こちらのスクリーンショットのように温室効果ガスの排出量を測定・レポートし削減につなげることができます。またこの画面のように製品やリージョンごとの排出量を分析することやビッグクエリにデータをエクスポートしてさらなる分析に活用することも可能です。
そういえば温室効果ガスといえばクラウドコンソールを使っていると低 CO2 と書かれた葉っぱのマークが出てくるようになってました。
はい、リソースを作成するとき必要なタイミングで必要な判断が行えるように低 CO2 リージョンを明示するようになりました。この機能をテストしたとき、新規ユーザーはアイコンのついている低 CO2 リージョンを選ぶ率が 50% 高かったという結果が出ました。このような積み重ねが気候変動対策には欠かせないと思います。例として台湾にあるエイジアイースト1とアメリカのオレゴンにある US ウェスト1を比べると、オレゴンのリージョンを使用することによって発電に伴う温室効果ガスをおよそ 80% 削減することが可能です。またリージョンを適切に選択することでコストの削減も可能です。例えばオレゴンのリージョンは台湾のリージョンより仮想マシンの費用がおよそ 13% 安くなります。
なるほど、レイテンシーが重要なワークロードはお客様の近くに配置し、そうではないバッチやサービスなどは別のリージョンに配置するという戦略が考えられそうですね。
はい、Google の事業運営はすでにカーボンニュートラルですが、2030年までにすべてのデータセンターを24時間365日カーボンフリーで稼働させるという目標を立てています。その他にもアクティブアシストというクラウドコンソール上に使用率の低いリソースを最適化したり削除するといった推奨事項を表示するツールも提供しています。標準で有効で無料で利用できます。サステナブルなクラウドの重要性はこれからますます高まると思います。
さて、いよいよ最後のトピックになります。ビジネスアプリケーションです。過半数のビジネスアプリケーションが開発の専門家ではないユーザーによって構築されるという予想でした。ビジネスオーナーがアプリケーションを開発することができる世界が来るということでしょうか？
そうですね。組織が進化するにつれて自社のソフトウェア開発業務の多くが専任の開発チーム以外によって行われるようになります。その際、ノーコード開発、ローコード開発と呼ばれる手法によって実際にアプリケーションを使用するユーザーが開発に参加しやすくなります。ノーコード開発やローコード開発も IT 部門との連携によって会社の資産を守るためのセキュリティに配慮しつつ、同時に業務部門のユーザーが自分自身が必要とするソリューションを作成できるようになります。ガートナーは組織内で使用される新しいアプリケーションのうちノーコード開発ツールを使用するものの割合は2020年の 25% から2025年には 70% に達すると予測しています。さまざまな組織がすでにこのトレンドに沿って体制を整えていて、 Google クラウドのお客様にも先進的な取り組みをされている会社がいくつもあります。例えばフィリピンの大手通信会社グローブテレコム様では IT 部門以外のシチズンデベロッパーが開発に参画して、そこでローンチした25のアプリをレビューすると業務プロセスの所要時間を 80% 短縮できたことが分かりました。
このノーコード開発を実現する Google クラウドのソリューションがアップシートですね。
はい。アップシートを利用するとコード不要で業務アプリやワークフローの自動化を自分で構築することができます。プロジェクト管理、在庫管理、シフト作成、承認フローといった多数のテンプレートを標準提供していて、画面上で選択肢を選んでいくだけでアプリのひな形が作成されます。それをもとに画面上で UI やテーブルなどを設定するとすぐにアプリが使用可能になります。例えばこの画面のような来客管理アプリをコードを1行も書かずに作成できます。私もこのデモを初めてアップシートを触って30分ほどで作成することができました。データは Google スプレッドシートに保存され、直接スプレッドシートを開いて編集することもできます。もちろんクラウド上のデータベースサーバーを利用することもできます。外部システムとの連携や機械学習モデルによる予測もマウスのクリックで設定することができます。
なるほど、これらの例を見ていると開発専門チーム以外がそれぞれの業務に適したアプリをコードを書かずに作成できる幅というものが広がっていると感じました。
はい、ノーコード開発を採用することでこれまでは実現できなかったさまざまな部門からの要望を部門自身が自分の欲しいアプリを開発できるようになります。あるアプリは IT 部門による開発、別のアプリはチーム専用のノーコードアプリのように要求や規模に応じて対応でき、限られた経営資源の中で最大限業務の効率化、自動化が図れるようになります。実際にリクシル様ではアップシートを使って現場の社員自ら業務を効率化するアプリケーションを開発し、およそ1年で合計2万個以上のアプリケーションを開発したそうです。このうち1020個のアプリケーションを実運用されています。これにより会社全体のマインドセットがアジャイル型に切り替わり、現場主導で業務アプリケーションを開発する文化を形成されています。
なるほど、短期間で2万個以上のアプリを開発できたのはノーコード開発ならではと言えますね。エマさん、デベロッパーキーノート全体を通じて他に注目する発表はありましたか？
はい、追加でぜひご紹介したいのが Google が新たに開発した半導体チップです。これはインテル様と共同開発したインフラストラクチャープロセッシングユニット IPU です。ネットワーク処理をオフロードし、これまで以上の性能や信頼性を実現します。先ほどのキーノートでも紹介された C3VM の 200Gbps の低レンテーシーネットワークと新しいストレージハイパーディスクを実現する核となるのがこの IPU です。Google はこれまでもボーグや Jupyter といったデータセンターのイノベーションを実現してきましたが、 IPU のような新しいカスタム半導体はこれからのデータセンターを支える技術として私個人も非常に楽しみにしています。以上がデベロッパーキーノートのハイライトです。
どの分野も先進企業は実現を始められている内容だったり、近い将来に起こりそうな内容だなというふうに感じました。NEXT では開発者の皆様に向けたセッションが他にもたくさんあります。ぜひご覧になってください。エマさん、ありがとうございました。
マサさん、興味深い話がたくさんありましたね。私自身もいっぱい刺激をもらいました。オープニングキーノート、デベロッパーキーノートともに全編をオンデマンドでご視聴いただけます。ぜひご確認ください。
さて NEXT では日本オリジナルのコンテンツもご用意してるんですよね、香織さん。
はい、そうなんです。特に今回は多くのお客様にご登壇いただいています。まずはこの基調講演の後に6つのスポットライトセッションを配信します。今日本の企業がデジタルトランスフォーメーションするのに重要な内製化や CCOE といったテーマにおいて、お客様の方々に実体験を含めた貴重なお話をいただきます。また Google クラウドを導入した日本のお客様の事例やスポンサーセッションもご視聴いただけます。こちらは明日オンデマンドで公開します。
そして14日最終日にはデベロッパーとエンジニアの皆様向けの特別なイベント、イノベーターズハイブを東京でも開催します。オンラインでどなたでも視聴可能です。基調講演に加えさまざまな分野のコミュニティのセッションをご用意してますので、ぜひご視聴ください。
そして NEXT の開催にちなんで素敵なキャンペーンがあると聞いていますが。
そうなんです、まさに本日始まったキャンペーン、みんなで学ぼう Google クラウドオンライン体験プログラム第2弾です。このプログラムは学習ツール Google クラウドスキルブーストを30日間無料でお使いいただくことができます。コミュニケーションツールを活用して同じように Google クラウドを学ぶ仲間に質問できたり、コミュニティが開催する勉強会などに参加してみんなで一緒に学ぶことができるプログラムです。
なるほど、一人で e ラーニングするではなくて、ちょっと前から Google クラウドを触り始めた人や同じ時期に学び始めた人と気軽にやり取りをしたり、Google クラウドのコミュニティ活動に参加するきっかけにもなるということですかね。
はい、楽しく学べる上にスキルバッジを規定数獲得していただくと素敵な Google クラウド特製グッズがゲットできますので、ぜひこの機会をご活用ください。
さあマサさん、あっという間の1時間でしたがいかがでしたでしょうか。
本日日本時間の深夜にアメリカでスタートした NEXT で発表された最新の内容と日本のお客様の事例を日本のチームからお届けできたことを大変嬉しく思っています。また見ていただいている方々に何かヒントになることをお届けできていれば幸いです。
はい、無事に終わってほっとしております。貴重講演をご視聴いただきありがとうございます。引き続き NEXT をお楽しみください。
We started with the exponential roadmap's goal, zero carbon emissions by 2050.
Where our emissions primarily stem from: device, CDN, networking, and cloud.
Our goal is actually to get to zero emissions by 2030.
Backstage was built internally at Spotify, so it unifies your tooling, your services, docs, and apps under a unified, consistent UI. We donated it to the Cloud Native Computing Foundation.
Amazing to see how many people at Spotify actually care deeply about this topic.
Cloud Carbon Footprint is actually an open source tool developed by ThoughtWorks.
The only thing that's limiting us right now is just people hearing about it.
It leverages cloud APIs to provide visualizations of estimated carbon emissions.
We leverage Bigtable, GKE. It starts not just from the cloud, but it goes all the way out to our end user devices.
We want to empower not just Spotify internally, but the broader developer community to reduce their carbon footprint.
everybody. So I'm standing backstage at the Google Cloud's HQ. We're literally seconds away from kicking off the keynote for developer. I am so excited to share our predictions. Are you ready? Let's do this.
Hello, everyone. Please welcome Google Developers Vice President, Janine Banks.
Hello, welcome to Next 22. I'm Janine Banks, and I lead developer products and community at Google. My team and I love empowering developers to build innovations for the future, which leads me to the theme of Next this year. Today, meet tomorrow. To tell you a little more about how we think about tomorrow, my friends and I at Google Cloud will share top technology predictions for where we believe the cloud is headed over the next 3 years. Each one of us will share the one prediction we believe will be true by the end of 2025. And we'd love to hear what predictions you all come up with too. You can do that by responding to our original video or creating your own video on YouTube Shorts or any other social video platform. Just use the hashtag Google Cloud Predictions and tell us all about it. But before we get into all of that, I want to talk about our developer community for a minute. I get most excited about the incredible ideas and new products coming from our community, as well as the opportunity we have to help developers learn, grow, and build powerful systems and engaging experiences. Google's developer community is inclusive, one where cloud developers at every level of expertise are welcome while being challenged at the same time. And being part of Google's developer community creates true economic impact because Google Cloud certified professionals are some of the highest paid in the industry. This same cloud developer community fosters the creators. And by that, I'm talking about the students, the career switchers, and anyone else hoping to become a developer who's encouraged and supported to bring their creations to life. Just like we saw with our partner in Brazil, Soul Code Academy, and one of our newest professional data engineers, Patricia. Take a look.
Tecnologia é como se fosse um bichinho que uma vez que ela te morde, não sai mais de você. Eu cursei análise e desenvolvimento de sistemas, só que eu não consegui terminar. Tinha lá aqueles formulários, né? Qual que é o seu nome, seu endereço? Mas qual que é a sua profissão? Eu não tenho profissão. Agora é a hora de eu retomar. Aí foi onde eu vi a oportunidade do Bootcamp da Soul Code Academy em parceria com o Google Cloud. E 6 meses depois, aí foi onde eu recebi o convite para poder fazer parte do time da Soul Code Academy, só que do lado de lá. Ali o mundo, sabe quando o mundo ganha cor? Então nessa hora ficou colorido. Eu, Patrícia, mulher casada, mãe de 3 filhos, 39 anos, profissão, engenheira de dados habilitada em Google Cloud Platform.
Don't you just love Paticia's story? This is why I'm excited to come to work every single day and the potential of what we can build together with all of you. Speaking of exciting, we recently announced a new partnership with the Drone Racing League. We built new immersive learning experiences with DRL that will blow your mind. You can participate in the Google Cloud Challenge, where you can get hands-on with DRL's race data and Google Cloud services. You can predict race outcomes, give performance tips to DRL pilots to help them smoke their competitors, and learn all at the same time. And you even get to compete for a chance to win a trip to the season finale of the league's World Championship. You can get started with the challenge right now. We look forward to seeing what you'll build next as we fly into the future of cloud together. Do you see what I did just there? Fly, drones. Okay. Are you ready? Let's go. I'll go first. My prediction is by the end of 2025, developers will start with neural-inclusive design. We'll see a 5x growth in user adoption in their first 2 years in production. According to the National Institutes of Health, up to 20% of the world's population is neurodistinct, with the other 80% being neurotypical. These two groups make up what is called neurodiversity. And neurodiversity describes the ways people experience, interpret, and process the world around them, whether in school, at work, or through social relationships. And here at Google, we believe the world and our workplace needs all types of thinkers. What do you think about that, Jim?
That's right, 1 in 5 of us here are neurodistinct. But what is neuro-inclusive design? Neuro-inclusive design is designed for cognitive and sensory accessibility. One of the things that makes participation in meetings accessible to me is the raise hand function. It allows me to pause the cadence of the meeting to provide an opportunity to share my thoughts. Then we realized that this made meetings better for everyone. It created more structure for everybody, which enabled visibility and broader range of ideas. So neuro-inclusive design starts with raising accessibility for neurodistinct people like myself, but everyone benefits. Good design is already neuro-inclusive when implemented properly. As an example, when developing interactive and visual features, we need to consider how noise, vibrations, or pop-ups show up in design because it creates sensory stimulation that leads to distraction. Design principles can be made neuro-inclusive when you plan thoughtfully for balance, proportion, unity, light, color, space, and patterns. And here are some tips for developers. Number 1, design with simplicity and clarity. Number 2, remove distractions or extra visualizations like pop-up windows. 3, avoid really bright colors or too much of a single color. 4, stick with a predictable and intuitive user flow. 5, be thoughtful about the vibe you are setting. Do you need music or sounds to set the tone, or is that just an extra element that can create distraction? And finally, 6, stay away from pressure points requiring a quick reaction from the users. This can add unnecessary pressure. Back to you, Janine.
Thanks, Jim. This upfront design thoughtfulness is just so important. How often have any of you been pressured to ship something, but you knew you could have improved the user experience with just a little more time? At Google, we feel that ideation, user research, testing, and marketing disproportionately help teams launch more inclusive products faster. While these are standard practices in software development, when we made a conscious decision to have all types of thinkers included across these phases, our eyes opened in so many new ways to be more inclusive. For example, closed captioning in Google Meet helps all of us process information better visually. It also helps people participating in meetings where a different language is used. When you build simple, clear experiences with fewer distractions, your products will inherently drive greater user adoption. In fact, what did I say? I predict 5x more in your first 2 years in production. This is because developers like us will have built belonging directly into our products. So that's my prediction. Now I'm going to pass the mic to some of my friends here at Google Cloud to share their predictions. Thanks.
My name is Eric Brewer, and my prediction is that by the end of 2025, 4 out of 5 enterprise developers will use some form of curated open source. Now, you're probably wondering, what is curated open source? Curated open source is just open source as you know it, but with a layer of accountability. What I mean by that is curated open source comes with support for developers, and the curator in this case will focus on not just finding vulnerabilities, but helping to fix them too. They'll update old dependencies and track new ones. With curated open source, the curators will build in automation for testing, may even offer response-based SLAs. And here's why this is so important for the community. Open source is everywhere. It helps power our electrical grids, water supplies, oil pipelines. It's fundamental to all clouds, most nations, and even widely used in proprietary software. Open source is public infrastructure, and it's an essential part of our everyday lives. So now what? Open source is here to stay, but everything it powers is vulnerable. The incidents are real and they are costly. This is why governments are stepping in with regulations like FedRAMP and executive orders to combat cybersecurity. Regulations like these are super important and show us just how deeply security vulnerabilities impact our lives. But in fact, these regulations are exactly why we need curation. Curated open source enables you to depend on the open source beyond the as-is approach we use today. We believe in this philosophy so much that we are already working on it. To help you build secure apps faster, we're releasing Software Delivery Shield. This is a fully managed security solution that protects your software supply chain from source to deployment. And as part of SDS, we have our initial curated open source example called Assured OSS. This service curates open source packages used by Google and makes them available to you, our cloud developers. Google will scan, analyze, and fuzz test more than 250 Java and Python packages for security vulnerabilities on your behalf, and we'll update them as needed. Still don't believe me that developers use some form of curation? How about this? Let us show you what we're doing at Google to make this reality. Hi, Aja.
Hey, Eric. So let's actually see what the software delivery lifecycle looks like if you use Software Delivery Shield to enforce responsible use of open source through policy. So we're going to start with Cloud Workstations, a complete development environment in the cloud. Cloud Workstations is highly customizable, and the version I'm showing today has all the tools and compilers and everything I need, including the brand new Source Protect extension. Actually, right here you can see that Source Protect has flagged a dependency with a known vulnerability. I can fix this right now on my workstation before anything is ever checked in. Now, Cloud Workstations is going to automatically detect those changes, and it's going to redeploy my app on my workstations as needed. This shortens my dev loop and makes me more productive. So when I push my changes, because I'm happy with them, Cloud Build is going to run continuous integration against our code base. Here, you can see a Cloud Build build report, and you can see that we provide SALSA Level 3 compliant build provenance. Cloud Build also scans for vulnerabilities. And here we can see a list of vulnerabilities, including details on many of them, and in some cases, even the fix that we need to make to address it. Now, it happens to be that the image that Eric and I are working with today has several external open source dependencies. For example, Spring Boot Starter. In general, pulling these directly from the internet could pose some risk. Fortunately, that dependency and many others are in the Assured OSS portfolio, so that I can use a version of that dependency that's been vetted by Google, which is what you've been telling us about.
This is exactly the point. You don't have to worry about these dependencies because they are already vetted for you.
And so now that I know that I don't have to worry as much about these dependencies, it's time to push the code to prod. So let's actually look at a delivery pipeline. Here's a Cloud Deploy delivery pipeline. Super simple one. We've just got a dev and a test environment. And when I'm happy with my code in dev, I can promote it to prod. And we can deploy to GKE. So while that's deploying, let's look at one last thing. Here's the new GKE security posture page. Here I can see security concerns on both the cluster and workload level. I can dig into any concerns if I need to, including seeing recommended actions to take to mitigate any issues that were identified. So that's the dev to prod tour of Software Delivery Shield, so you can see how it helps you use open source responsibly all the way from when you start writing code to when it's released into production.
That was great. Thank you, Aja. We love co-creating. We just want to make sure there's an added layer of accountability to better support you and the apps you build. This is why we believe that 4 out of 5 enterprise developers will use some form of curated open source. Thank you.
First off, it is so nice to see everyone here in the room. Give it up for being back in person, right? All right. So, hello everyone. My name is Iman Ghanizada, and my prediction is that by the end of 2025, 90% of security operations workflows will be automated and managed as code. Okay, so SecOps teams are struggling to keep up with the attackers. We all know this, right? There's too much data, complex technology environments, and there's more adversaries now more than ever. I mean, every day on the news, we hear about a new 18-year-old that has breached a company, right? So let's go ahead and let's pair this with the detection and response workflow, which is notoriously centered around toil, and it requires a linear growth in people to keep up with the volume of threats. But we all know we can just hire a bunch of more people, right? Like every CISO has $1 billion in their bank, and they're just waiting to hire 700,000 people. So this inefficient workflow has basically created the cybersecurity talent shortage. There's over 700,000 unfilled cyber jobs. And these jobs, they're high stress, they're overloaded with toil-based work, and a lot of folks are quite frankly just burnt out. So there's just no way that this issue is going to get solved if we keep doing things the way that we're doing them today. So to scale security across cloud, we're going to make security more agile and accessible to everyone through code. Here's how. So our autonomic security operations framework is designed to help you take advantage of our API-first approach with Chronicle security operations and other tools, including many of those tools that are within our new Mandiant portfolio. This shift in our new framework takes traditional assembly line security operations workflows into a codified continuous feedback model we call continuous detection, continuous response, or CDCR for short. You can imagine it's kind of like CI/CD, but for threat management. We've seen customers like BBVA and NCR, and as well as our MSSP partners like Sideris, use our tools to build continuous detection and response workflows that scale across billions of alerts. And so earlier this year, we actually partnered with MITRE Ingenuity, with Sideris and others to launch Community Security Analytics. CSA is an open source repo that we created to foster community collaboration on developing security analytics for your cloud workloads. These analytics can be deployed as code to complement the native detection capabilities in Chronicle and other Google Cloud tools. So it's kind of like having a team of devs collaborating on your detection rules. So I'll show you how to deploy these rules, but first let's actually dive into an example, okay? Let's just say that there's a user outside of your DevOps team that gets access to impersonate a highly privileged production service account. That probably wouldn't be good, right? So Rule 2.20 analyzes your admin activity logs for permission grants on service accounts. And for this next part, we went ahead and pre-recorded this because we wanted to save time, and also I don't want to have you watch me fumble over my keys and take down US East or something. So first, we're starting in the terminal, and we've already cloned a private repo here. Now we're going to go ahead and open up that URL rule, and we can add parameters to fine-tune the rule to our needs. So in case you haven't noticed, Chronicle's URL syntax is very, very, very simple compared to other detection languages. Now we're going to go ahead and commit and push our changes, and we already have a GitHub action set up to auto-deploy these rules into our Chronicle instance. And by the way, Chronicle can be deployed as code, and it can scale across petabytes of data without needing infrastructure or human involvement. I mean, it's as cloud native as they come. Okay, so we're going to pivot into our Chronicle instance. We're going to refresh, and let's see. Voila. Okay, boom. So there's our new rule, and from this point on, it's going to start alerting when this malicious activity is identified. We can also run a retro hunt, which essentially takes this rule and it runs it against all of our historical data in Chronicle to see if there's an alert that we missed. And we've done retro hunts with customers that have taken seconds or minutes that may have taken them hours or days with their existing tools. I mean, it's uber fast. We can also use Chronicle SOAR to create an automation playbook, basically to figure out how to respond to this type of alert. And we also have APIs to automate this entire thing from ingest to analytics to response. So the moral of the story is what? None of us want to end up on the news, right? So in order to make this 90% prediction a reality, security analysts are gonna have to work a lot more like devs so that they can free up time to focus on the most important threats to their organizations. So you'll need to implement modern, developer-friendly workflows like CDCR across your detection and response practice. And what I've shown you today is how we're making it possible for you to do so. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Camilia Aryafar, and my prediction is by the end of 2025, AI is going to be the primary driver for moving to a 4-day work week. So what does this mean to you and me? A 3-day weekend. What it actually means is being able to comfortably complete 5 days worth of work in 4 days or even less with efficiencies gained through AI. Enterprise use of AI alone exploded over the past few years, touching all aspects of business. One of the greatest reasons behind this is AI's huge potential to increase employee productivity. You have told us how excited you are to work with Google Cloud because we make all of the AI research, AI models, and ML toolkits from Google available to you as enterprise-grade products and solutions, like Vertex AI. Since its launch, Vertex AI has helped data scientists ship ML models faster into production by automating routine tasks like model management, monitoring, and versioning. With Vertex AI, data scientists can now build and train ML models 5 times faster, meaning increased time for experimentation, reduced custom coding, and the ability to move more ML models into production. Today, with the announcement of Vertex AI Vision, we are taking this a step further and providing you with a fully managed development environment for creating computer vision applications. In the general keynote with a smart city use case, my colleague June Yang discussed how you can use Vertex AI Vision to reduce the time required to build and deploy computer vision applications from weeks to hours. Now, let's dive into 3 areas that I, as a developer, am most excited about when it comes to Vertex AI Vision. The ability to use your own custom models, integration with BigQuery, and developing external applications with SDKs. Let's see how. First, in the smart city example, we used a pre-built occupancy analytics model to detect and count vehicles. Now, if I want to do the same thing for bicycles, I can use a custom bicycle detection model in Vertex AI and easily import it into my computer vision application. Basically, if the model works in Vertex AI, then it will also work in Vertex AI Vision. Second, I want to use the power of BigQuery to combine video annotations with other information in my data warehouse. By the way, I can also store annotations in the included Vision Warehouse feature to easily search for insights across my video. By using Vertex AI Vision together with BigQuery, I can correlate traffic patterns with weather patterns, or even make a forecast with BigQuery ML to predict future traffic patterns. Finally, I can use the SDK to access process video data and annotations and hook into a live stream of vehicle counts to power other applications or dashboards. It's that simple, and it can be applied to one video stream or even hundreds of video streams. This level of flexibility and scalability is unique to Google Cloud, and that's how we help you reduce the development time for computer vision applications from weeks to hours. Not just with Vertex AI Vision, but all of Google Cloud's AI products are built to help you be more productive and delight your customers. For example, using Contact Center AI, call center teams can manage up to 28% more conversations concurrently. That means a lot more productivity. With Translation Hub, localization teams can translate documents into 135 languages in a matter of seconds, which means time saved for other efforts and a more inclusive workplace. Similarly, with Google Cloud's recommendations AI, merchandising and e-commerce teams can now drive 40% more customer conversions. That means a lot more happy customers and a happy sales team too. When you put together all of these productivity gains powered by AI across the organization, a 4-day work week is a very distinct possibility. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Irina Farouk, and my prediction is that by the end of 2025, 90% of data will be actionable in real time using ML. I'm sure many of you are pretty skeptical of this prediction, and that's understandable. A recent survey found that only 1/3 of all companies are able to realize tangible value from their data. And we continue to hear that many of you are trying to fix that by taking on the operational burden of managing data infrastructure, moving data around, and duplicating data to make it available to the right users in the right tools. So then, how do we begin to overcome these barriers before data can be actionable in real time using ML? Since our inception, Google has been focused on delivering highly personalized information that is highly trusted by billions of people around the world. Data is in our DNA. The same data infrastructure that's allowed us to innovate is available to you, and that is why we believe we can make this prediction a reality. Take, for example, our customer, Vodafone. As one of the world's largest telecommunication companies, Vodafone unified all their data so that thousands of their employees can innovate across 700 different use cases and 5,000 real-time data feeds. They now run AI development 80% faster, more cost-effective, all without compromising governance and reliability. So then, how can we help you achieve your own data infrastructure vision? The short answer is in 3 parts. First, you can't act on data unless you can see it and trust it. Today, we're announcing automatic cataloging of all your GCP data with business context in Dataplex. And you can integrate third-party sources too. What this means is that you no longer need to spend days looking for the right data, and instead can spend time working with it. But once you find your data, how do you know you can trust it? Have you ever been in a meeting where someone questions the validity of a single data point, and then nobody can trust anything that's being presented from that point onward? That's why I'm particularly excited about the new data quality and lineage capabilities in Dataplex, bringing intelligence and automation to help you trust your data. Second, you can't act on data unless you can work with it. To innovate, you've got to be able to use the best tools for the job across all your data. Speaking of the best tools, I'm excited about BigQuery's new support for unstructured data. Now you can be sure that your BigQuery skills will pay off across all your data, from structured to semi-structured to unstructured. It is also important to be able to use the best of open source tools. Last year, we introduced our serverless Spark offering. And today, we're announcing that you can run Spark directly from BigQuery with fully integrated experience and billing. But this is still just the beginning. We have a bold vision for our Spark offering to bring the Google infrastructure magic, all without forking open source. Take, for example, MindMeld, the shuffle service powering BigQuery and Dataflow that helps deliver scale, reliability, and performance that you know and love with those services. That's coming to a Spark job soon. Lastly, you can't act on today's data tomorrow. We've heard from many of you that you struggle with making real-time, in-context experiences a reality for your own customers. Dataflow, our streaming analytics service, powers critical Google services, and we believe it can do the same for you. With Dataflow, you can use Apache Beam to build unified batch and real-time pipelines. You can start small while having the assurance that you can process real-time events at extreme scale if your application needs it. To summarize, when you can see the data, trust the data, and work with data as it's collected, we can see how 90% of data will be actionable in real time using ML, and the incredible innovation that that will unleash. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Andy Goodmans, and I predict that by the end of 2025, the barriers between transactional and analytical workloads will disappear. Traditionally, data architectures have separated these mixed workloads, and for good reason. Fundamentally, their underlying databases are built differently. Transactional databases are optimized for fast reads and writes, while analytical databases are optimized for aggregating large data sets. Because these systems are largely decoupled, many of you are struggling to piece together different solutions to build intelligent data-driven apps. For instance, to provide personalized recommendations for e-commerce, apps need to support both transactional and analytical workloads on the same data set, and without negatively impacting performance. At Google Cloud, we're uniquely positioned to solve this problem because of how we've architected our data platform. Our transactional and analytical databases are built on a highly scalable, disaggregated compute and storage system, and Google's high-performance global network, allowing us to provide tightly integrated data services. And to help you unify your data across your apps, today, I'm excited to tell you more about new capabilities we recently announced. First, Data Stream for BigQuery, which allows you to easily replicate data from transactional databases into BigQuery in real time. Next, Database Migration Service, which provides a one-click migration from Postgres into AlloyDB for operational analytics. And lastly, we support query federation with Spanner, Cloud SQL, and Bigtable right from the BigQuery console to analyze data in transactional databases. But don't take my word for it. Let's see how some of these technologies remove barriers for our fictitious company, Symbol Bank. Symbol wanted to integrate their core banking features in their app with market data to provide personalized, real-time investment dashboards. The problem was their app's backend was optimized for transactional workloads. So how do they maintain the responsiveness of their app while adding analytical goodness? Symbol Bank chose Google Cloud's new fully managed Postgres-compatible database, AlloyDB, offering the capability to analyze transactional data in real time. Now, migrating all their existing data with minimal downtime felt like a big lift for the Symbol engineers. But it turns out that Database Migration Service makes this simple. And I'll walk you through just how easy it is. Database Migration Service lets you migrate from Postgres to AlloyDB with continuous replication, minimizing downtime. Once we define where we're migrating from and what we're moving our data into, we can see the prerequisites for the migration directly in your UI. Sources are defined using profiles which contain host, username, and password, and you can predefine them like I've done here for Symbol's Postgres instance. Here we define our destination and some basic configuration options, and then we get to hit Create. This part will take a few minutes, so I've sped up time a little bit. Once it finishes, a quick test to ensure that it will all work, and then hit Create and Start. Once the initial dump is finished, we're now in a state where we have both the old and new database populated with our live data continuously replicating from old to new. And that means we can do cool stuff like testing the performance of our new investment features against both the existing production Postgres database and the new AlloyDB database side by side. Since AlloyDB is fully compatible with Postgres, you don't have to make any application changes. And as you can see, we're getting much better performance out of the new AlloyDB backend. AlloyDB is 4 times faster for transactional workloads and up to 100 times faster for analytical queries compared to standard Postgres, making it the perfect database for these kind of hybrid workloads. We all want to act on data in real time without the toil of infrastructure assembly and operations. We've given you a taste of how Google Cloud makes it easier for you to build data-driven apps on a unified platform. And this is why I predict that by the end of 2025, the barriers between transactional and analytical workloads will disappear. Thanks.
My name is Amin Vadat, and my prediction is, by the end of 2025, over half of cloud infrastructure decisions will be automated based on an organization's usage patterns to meet performance and reliability needs. At Google, we believe the work we do today with our partners will define the next generation of infrastructure for the world. While some people look at infrastructure as a commodity, we see it as a source of inspiration. This inspiration comes from delivering capabilities not available anywhere else and pulling in the future by operating at a level of reliability and scale that might otherwise seem unimaginable. Our infrastructure is designed with the scale-out capability needed to support billions of users who use services like Search, YouTube, Gmail, and our cloud services each and every day. We pioneered the model of entire buildings operating as a single computing and storage system. And with Spanner, we showed how services could run reliably at scale across the planet. And we've experienced network innovations like Google Global Cache, B4, and Jupyter, shortening distances across the planet. This gave us the opportunity to reimagine what was possible from infrastructure in terms of scale and capability. Look at the world around us. The time for disruptive innovation has never been more profound. We're seeing incredible demand on the industry's infrastructure, yet simultaneous plateaus in efficiency. You and your companies continue to push the boundaries of what infrastructure can provide. Yet the burden of picking the just right combination of components continues to fall on you. To address this, we've engineered golden paths from silicon to the console. These paths combine purpose-built infrastructure, prescriptive architectures, and an ecosystem to deliver workload-optimized, ultra-reliable infrastructure. So let's talk about the investments we're making in infrastructure at Google in power and performance to make all of this possible. We partnered with Intel to co-design and build custom silicon like this little thing. This is called an infrastructure processing unit, or IPU, and it gives you massive performance and scalability to power high-performance, data-intensive apps. These IPUs are at the heart of our new C3 VMs. C3s include the latest generation Intel Sapphire Rapids processor and custom-designed offload based on the IPU that delivers 200 gigabit per second low-latency networking. And coupled with our new block storage hyperdisk, they can provide incredible storage performance. Now, let me show you something else. From the small to the big, meet the hardware behind the new tensor processing unit, the TPU v4 platform. It's likely the world's fastest, largest, and most efficient machine learning supercomputer. This liquid-cooled board is a beast in both power and performance density. You see these pipes running across it, running chilled water over the board. They're there to ensure you extract the highest level of efficiency from this hardware. It allows secure, isolated access, and is at the cutting edge of services like natural language understanding, recommender systems, and image processing. The TPU makes large-scale training workloads up to 80% faster and up to 50% cheaper compared to alternatives. When you talk about nearly doubling performance for half the cost, you unlock your imagination in terms of what just might be possible. The same IPUs and TPUs that power your services are the foundation that will enable us to automate over half of cloud infrastructure decisions in the next couple of years. They will support the telemetry data and ML-based analytics to proactively recommend the best infrastructure. It will be based on an understanding of how infrastructure balance points correspond to performance and reliability for your individual workloads. We don't think that you should have to think about hardware specifications. That is last generation cloud thinking. You will specify a workload and will quickly recommend, configure, and place the best option for you based on your price, performance, and scale needs. We know that these automated, adaptive decisions deliver lower cost, more performance, and higher reliability than any handcrafted solution. So it's my prediction that over half of cloud infrastructure decisions will be automated based on an organization's usage pattern correct. Honestly, I think it's going to be much higher than that. It has to be in order to keep up with all the advancements you're making in technology. The burden and complexity of infrastructure decision-making you have today will disappear through the power of AI and ML automation. And when you have freedom to focus on your solution delivery, the rate of innovation and customer benefits will only accelerate. While cloud has been transformative, we are still at the early stages. We're excited to continue to make the unimaginable possible and the possible easy. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Teran Giannini, and my prediction is that by the end of 2025, 3 out of 4 developers will lead with sustainability as their primary development principle. For the longest time, the focus was elsewhere. We needed to build it fast, build it securely, build it as simply as possible, build it at the lowest cost, build it reliably. Well, now it's also time to build it sustainably. We can't ignore the urgency required from all of us to meet climate targets. And while organizations are moving in the right direction, they struggle to take action. 65% of IT executives said they want to improve their sustainability efforts, but don't know how to do it. 36% of them said they didn't even have the measurement tools in place to track sustainability progress. So, how can we help them out? We can give them better data about the environmental footprint of their business. So today, I am excited to announce that Google Cloud Carbon Footprint, which helps you measure, report, and reduce your cloud carbon emissions, is now generally available. Let's take a look. Right from the Cloud Console, you can access the carbon footprint dashboard of your account. The underlying methodology is quite unique and is based on actual measurements of the energy used by machines in our data centers. It is also the complete picture of your emissions. Not only emissions coming from electricity production, but also on-site fossil fuel emissions and other embodied emissions coming from data center hardware. This is also known as scopes 1, 2, and 3. And of course, you can break down the data by Google Cloud Project, Google Cloud Region, and Google Cloud Product. With a simple click, you can export your cloud emissions data to BigQuery for further analysis and to provide your sustainability teams with the data they need to report on your company's emissions. We also want to help you build new applications that emit less carbon by making the right choice at the right time. Let's say you want to deploy a new application to the US West Coast. From a latency perspective, all of these options are very similar. Without more info, you might have picked Las Vegas, which happens to have a relatively carbon-intense electricity grid. But up in Oregon, you'd find a very clean grid, full of hydropower and therefore low carbon intensity. That is why it is indicated as a low-carbon region. In fact, a simple choice of Oregon over Las Vegas can reduce your gross electricity emissions of running that app by about 80%. And with this move, you not only saved carbon, you also saved money, since a compute engine VM is cheaper in Oregon. A move that can help you save money and carbon is easy to make. When we tested this feature, we noticed new users were 50% more likely to choose a low-carbon region when they saw the icon. And that can make a very big difference. So, how do we make it easy to identify more opportunities to lower your carbon emissions and deliver those options at scale? Well, Active Assist now shares recommendations to remove idle resources and their associated emissions. Actually, all of the sustainability features I just showed you today are embedded into Google Cloud Console and documentation. They are available out of the box at no charge and for all developers. Sustainability is too important to be complicated. Before I go, here are two things to remember. One, moving to Google Cloud gives you the efficiency gains and energy benefits to reduce your emissions. Two, when you build on the cloud, pick the region with the lowest carbon impact for your application. Because these tools are available, I believe that by 2025, 3 out of 4 developers will lead with sustainability as their primary development principle. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I don't know why I did jazz hands. Let's play with that weird energy though, together here today. Let's go. Good, so hi, my name's Richard Seroder. My prediction for you today is that by the end of 2025, over half of all organizations using public cloud are actually gonna freely switch their primary cloud as a result of all these new multi-cloud capabilities available. So quick story, I recently moved from the Seattle area to San Diego after a vacation this year with my family. We realized we needed something different. So bought a house in San Diego before I finally sold the house in Washington. And for a weird time there, I was multi-house, and that was not good. But it wasn't my desired end state, but that's okay. Sometimes you're in these multi-situations while you transfer from one state to another. And that's related to my prediction here. I think in the years ahead, we're gonna see companies use a multi-cloud strategy, not just as a way to hedge their bets, but as a way to actually switch from their first cloud to their next cloud. So research data shows that the majority of companies are actually multi-cloud today, meaning they use more than one hyperscale cloud. Sounds probably pretty familiar to most of you. I'm personally talking to more and more companies though, that are using multi-cloud technologies as a way not to shift just their workloads, but their mind share to a different cloud as well. So let's see what that journey might look like. What would that look like? Let's look at like 3 different steps. We'll do some live demos, what can go wrong. So first, that first part of the journey is how do we meet you where you are today with what you got? You probably use another cloud. That's totally cool. Nobody's perfect. But here at Google Cloud, we've made some unique investments in a multi-cloud management plane that works with your compute and your data, even if it's on other clouds. So in this first step, you're starting to use Google Cloud, but you want to incorporate existing investments in other ones. So consistency matters a ton here, and Anthos plays a huge part. Let's see how. So first off, if you'll see here, I actually have an EKS cluster I built, and I've actually attached this to the Anthos control plane. From here, I can manage the cluster, I can view workloads, I can deploy things, I can troubleshoot, I can apply common policies. And even with our recent partnership and collaboration with the Crossplane project, I can actually create and manage GKE clusters, AKS clusters, EKS clusters, provision and manage them all the same way from Google Cloud, which is pretty cool. Now, what do you do with your data? We talked about compute. If I think about my data, how do I analyze all this? We know that data transfer costs are real. Consolidation isn't always the right option. And so for financial, strategic, or even policy reasons, your organization might need data in different clouds. It's okay. So with BigQuery Omni, I can actually have my data lake in Amazon S3 or here in my Azure storage account, and I don't have to move the data to actually run my queries against it in BigQuery. I can actually analyze it where it resides without moving the data. So this is one of many Google Cloud services that actually work wherever you are, whether they run across clouds or actually integrate with the different clouds. It's a big deal. So that's a starter phase, right? I'm building skills, I'm moving, kind of comfort in this new home I have, but I haven't moved really anything. So some of you might think this is where you stop, right? Multi-cloud is just use a bunch of clouds, but I don't think so. I think many are going a step further. So in the second stage, you start upgrading your tech where it is and growing your adoption of that secondary cloud. So step 2, as I start using Google Cloud services, let's say things like GKE, which are awesome, I want to use it even more and more. So I might introduce things like Anthos clusters to Azure and AWS. This is the GKE API and GKE software running across clouds, which is amazing. And just now, we just shipped the capability where I can even upgrade those clusters in place on another cloud from the Google Cloud Console. That's awesome. I don't have to jump all over the place to run all my infrastructure. Now here, you might also start creating a multi-cloud mesh and say, look, I want to actually maintain services that run across clusters in different clouds. In this particular mesh, my web app is spread across GKE, EKS clusters, all of these different places. I'm actually able to manage those services and see them and connect them wherever they are. Now let's talk about data. At this point in the game, you might use our great service data stream to redirect your existing Aurora cluster in AWS from Redshift. Maybe you want to steer it to BigQuery instead. And I actually built a stream that connects from my Aurora database and feeds the data in real time to BigQuery. Pretty awesome stuff. So use DataStream to move data around as well. So that's cool. So for some, multi-cloud is a bit of a phase. It's not a permanent state. You're not trying to get there. Your final stage could be a full-on migration to your new primary cloud. So once you've invested in Google Cloud, you might start taking advantage of really awesome stuff like GKE Autopilot. This is a fully managed Kubernetes environment where we are running the whole thing. You don't manage clusters. You just deal with your workloads. It's awesome and exclusive to Google Cloud. Now, what's really cool is you may also continue to use Anthos on Google Cloud to manage all of your fleets of GKE clusters at all of our regions around the world. I'm showing you some new dashboards here that are coming out. And this actually lets me manage not just my GKE clusters, but I'm managing on-prem, bare metal, VMware, Edge, doesn't matter. I'm getting a view of my entire fleet and managing that. So now you get things like BigQuery for analytics, you're in Google Cloud, Spanner for distributed data, AI/ML for amazing insights, all these unique developer tools and more. So look, if you forget everything else that I've talked about here today, remember that Google Cloud has a really unique management plane that meets you where you are, but honestly takes you further. So this is why I believe over half of companies using public cloud today will freely switch their primary provider in the coming years as a result of all these great multi-cloud capabilities. Thanks a lot.
Hi, I'm Jana Mandic, and my prediction is that by the end of 2025, over half of all business applications will be built by users who do not identify as professional developers today. One of the most interesting opportunities as organizations evolve is that we will continue to see more development work in the enterprise taken up by teams and individuals outside of central IT. The adoption of no-code and low-code tools will unlock this potential by making the development process easier for more users. How many times have you been asked to do something but you had to say no because your roadmap or feature request lists were already way too long? Well, with these tools, those business users you had to say no to can instead create apps and workflow automations themselves with no programming skills required. These no-code and low-code apps will be built collaboratively with developers like you who will provide the guardrails to keep the business secure while enabling business users to deliver their own solutions. And I'm not alone in thinking this prediction will come true. Leading tech analyst Gartner forecasts that by 2025, 70% of new applications developed by organizations will use low-code or no-code technologies. That's up from less than 25% in 2020. Organizations are getting ready for this change, and our customers are already moving in this direction. Globe Telecom, a major telco out of the Philippines, reduced targeted business process turnaround time by 80% through experiences built by their citizen developers. And now, it's demo time. Let me show you how Google Workspace's AppSheet is making all this possible today and in the future. Now I'm going to be Anne Gray, a business analyst, trying to help my team save time managing request approvals. Currently, the process is manual and disorganized, spread across ad hoc emails and chat messages. So to fix that, first I'm going to build a no-code request approval app, and then I'll show you how my team and I can use this app to efficiently manage our development workflow, our approval workflow. With AppSheet, I have a single place to store my data and build my apps. I can also connect to other easy-to-use data sources like Sheets, or with the help of IT, I could connect to Cloud DBs. Let me show you the solution that I could build as a business user. Here's my database. AppSheet helps me structure my data and prep it for app building. When I'm ready, I can create a new application with a single click. This creates a prototype app that will be usable on any desktop or mobile device. After some customization, here's what I've built. I have a new request view for users to make requests, and an approval view for approvers to do their thing. Each of these views is available to me in mobile apps and desktop apps by default, and I can also configure them to show up in Gmail and chat, meeting my users where they are. Here is my Google Chat app. With this, my users can make requests directly from their team chat space, and it's reusing the same request view I configured earlier. Here's my automation that will send the approval view to the approvers in email. When I'm happy with my app, I can share it with my users, and I can add it to my chat spaces. Throughout this whole process, everything I created is controlled by governing policies set by the company's workspace admin. For example, here's what happens if I try to share the app outside of my domain. AppSheet blocks me and keeps company data secure. This allows IT to do two things. One, keep a clear line of sight on all apps so they can deprecate, update, and retire them when necessary. And two, restrict access to only those users who need it. Now let me show you how my colleague Jeffrey and I can use this app to manage our request and approval workflow. I'll be Jeffrey now. I'm on Anne's team, and I have a request to make. Let me ask Anne how to use her new app. She's added the bot to the space, and now I can quickly submit my reimbursement request. Okay, now I'll be Anne again. I got this email for Jeffrey's request. I can review and approve it directly from here. And if I have a pile of requests to review, I don't have to click through individual emails. I can pop into the app and see everything in one place. This app is accessible to all the users, requesters and approvers. With simple Sheets-like expressions, it's configured so the requesters see only their own requests and approvers see all the information that they need. You saw just how easy we are making it for non-technical users to create business applications that meet their immediate needs. With no-code and low-code, you and your business users now have more tools to work with. This is why I believe that over half of all business apps will be built by users who don't identify as professional developers today. Thank you.
Well, folks, that's a wrap on our predictions. We're excited about the conversations this will start and continue with all of you. Remember, if you want to share your own prediction, use the hashtag Google Cloud Predictions to tell us all about it. We can't wait to hear from you. Thank you for your continued inspiration and for partnering with us to build what's next. So, are you ready? Enjoy the rest of the show. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, I'm Shaquille O'Neal, and I'm the founder of Big Chicken.
When you're trying to build a national chain, communication is so critical. To do that, you need a great partner. And we're really lucky that partner is Google Workspace.
Google Calendar is my girlfriend. I don't know anything I'm doing unless I talk to my woman. Google Workspace, productivity and collaboration tools for all the ways you work.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Keynote. I'm Melanie, and I am so thrilled to be here to chat with our incredible guest, Sylvia Vasquez Lovato. We're connecting with Sylvia on her journey of resilience and impact as she became the first openly gay woman to climb the highest mountains on all 7 continents. That's right, Sylvia scaled 7 summits and now scales social justice with her organization, Courageous Girls. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sylvia. I'm feeling a lot of kindred spirit with you. We're wearing the same color shirt, so I know we're going to have a lot of chemistry as we go through this conversation.
Oh my God, Melanie, what an honor. Thank you so much for inviting me. I am just thrilled. And yes, red power, we're here. What a conversation. Thank you.
Well, I always like to start off conversations by asking this. Tell me how you self-identify.
Well, thank you for asking me that. I am a Peruvian-American LGBTQIA+ proud member of my community. I'm a mountaineer, an explorer, a social justice, a survivor, a warrior. That's how I would call myself.
You have a pretty incredible story, from surviving abuse, immigrating to the United States, navigating the corporate ladder, battling addiction, and then climbing the highest peak on all 7 continents while giving back to other survivors of abuse. We are thrilled you're here to share your journey of really finding your voice and your resilience and how you channeled all of that for social justice. And I want to dig into how inclusion and belonging impacts your life. But first, take us back to the beginning. You shared that you experienced sexual abuse at a young age by a trusted family friend. You left Peru and came to the States, escaping that abuse. Can you share with us more about how this experience impacted your life and how it affected your sense of belonging?
Yes, thank you, Melanie. Unfortunately, I'm part of a very sad statistic. 1 in 3 women around the world will have to experience some kind of sexual violence. And for me to go through that experience at such an early age, it took away the innocence and the joy of being a little girl. I think it took away my part of belonging to being a normal girl. And unfortunately, just like most victims and survivors, I blame myself. And by doing that, I even took away feeling that I was part of something, of feeling that I was part of normality. And so I remember all I wanted to do was to really run away or escape. And so when the opportunity came for me to come to the US on a scholarship, it was equivalent as of I have a chance to restart my life all over again, completely let go of my past. I was so ashamed of my past. I couldn't even see myself as a little girl. And there is a really powerful photo that I came across, I think, after one of my eviction notices. And there was it was me at age 6 years old. I was wearing a turquoise tracksuit, 2 little ponytails. I was around 6 years old. I had a smirk, and I was so mad at this photo. I really wanted to destroy the image. I only felt pity for that girl. And I just felt that a way of running away would actually be the way for me to let go of myself. And unfortunately, that only started making up a hole much deeper for my own shame and my own self-destruction. I mean, I definitely belonging. I was just trying to self-destroy myself while trying to look on the outside to have a very different life.
I hear you. Let's dig deeper into that. If you don't feel like you belong even to yourself, how can you belong anywhere? I mean, that resonates so much with me. And those life experiences, both positive and negative, are part of our whole selves. And at Google, we believe in the idea of bringing your whole self to work. And we recognize that whole selves are made of so many layers, from how someone identifies, which is really informed by what they've experienced. And once you immigrated to America, you climbed the corporate ladder at places like eBay and PayPal. How did you show up in the tech world in the early 2000s?
You know, it was something very interesting. I always was fascinated by computer science. I started playing back in those days, Commodore, Atari, trying to learn programming. But my father was a very close-minded conservative accountant who definitely didn't see the value in computers. But it was always incredibly appealing to me. And so as I started developing my career here in the US, I had the opportunity to engage in complex financial implementations and use that passion. But what really opened up my eyes was just expansion, the global inclusion that the technology companies were having. To me, it leveled the playing field. Technology was available in so many places. And I think for me to have the opportunity to start visiting some of the offices, to start working with people around, brought this sense of unity, brought this sense of belonging. We were all, doing a really good cause, which is the way that I also saw technology. You can definitely make positive changes. You can empower in unlimited ways. And so being part of it helped me quite a bit. Still, I needed to do a lot of work on myself.
So tell me more about breaking. And in the midst of it, you returned to Peru. I mean, did this physical homecoming shift in your family's acceptance?
It actually was. It was a little trickier because I remember my drinking was getting out of control, and I had hit rock bottom, and it was the very first time I asked for help. And I had a complicated relationship with my parents, and my mother asked me to come down to Peru and do a powerful healing meditation with ayahuasca. And it was something that both my parents were very close-minded, very conservative people. And my mom's experience on it really had stayed with me as to how it had connected her to her consciousness. And ayahuasca is an ancient indigenous medicine that people in the jungles of the Amazon have been practicing for centuries because it allows you to unblock emotional pain and it allows you to open higher levels of consciousness. And so for me, when I did this ayahuasca, it almost felt I was at the lowest of my life. And what really surprised me is that on my session, on the very first vision that came to me was of the little girl that I had seen on that turquoise tracksuit. She was crying in a corner. And I remember seeing, as an adult, being mad as to who had hurt her. And as I approached the little girl and we reconnected together, I remember feeling this energy inside of me, feeling as if something was becoming whole again. And as we started, I remember just grabbing and hugging this young little girl. And somehow as we were together, we heard this rumbling. And these mountains opened up in front of us. And it was my little girl who extended her hand and pulled me walking into mountains. And that was really powerful for me because I remember I ran away from my country with so much shame. And it was almost the natural medicine in my own country that gave me this incredible opportunity of just reconnecting to this past and allowing me to see that that was what was causing so much pain for me to really accept myself for who I was.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about saving yourself. I mean, this idea of identity and belonging having so many layers, working to save yourself was undeniably a big hill to climb. And I intended that pun because this is really where you got into mountaineering and took on your first summit. I have so many questions around this. First off, how did you choose mountaineering as a path forward?
So for me, it actually definitely was not what I had ever imagined. If anything, I was scared of mountains. I come from one of the most beautiful mountain places in the world in Peru, our white Andes. And but always the idea of mountain climbers were like the bravest of the brave, the toughest men always. And so for me, I never fit any of those descriptions. And so I remember when I returned back from this session with my parents of ayahuasca, I had this insight in my heart, and I remember telling myself, well, I've never had come across something so powerful. Why don't I take this vision literally? And I'm a Virgo, so I'm very practical. And I figure, well, if I need to bring this massive pain in my life, it only makes sense to bring it to the massive mountain in the world. So I decided to take myself to the base of Everest. Zero experience whatsoever. The closest I had ever done when it came to camping, I would drive to a campsite, set up my tent, be around the river, and then drive out. I was never really compelled to be in nature. And so I remember I went to Kathmandu. I got into this, trekking expedition on my own, just with a local guide and a porter, not knowing what to expect. And on my second day, when I came across the Himalayas, that is possibly when my life changed forever. Because here I was walking under the shadows of the tallest mountains in the world. And these shadows were the thing that it was actually the thing that was so big enough to swallow all of my pain, to swallow all of my shame, to swallow just all these memories. And I felt a sense of belonging. I felt a sense of welcoming that not a single person in the world had ever given me. And it was so powerful that I remember I started almost rediscovering my courage. And I got so inspired, I made it to the base of Everest in 4 days instead of the 8 days it take. I went so fast that I made my local trekking guy sick. He couldn't continue with me. But I remember just wanted to just being surrounded. There was this safety. And so when I get to the base of Everest, I had the opportunity of seeing the sunrise. And as the sunrise came down between Everest, Nuptse, and Lhotse, I had tears in my eyes, and I looked at the mountain and I made a promise. I said, you have given my life back, and I'm going to promise that I'm going to come back one day, and I'm going to attempt to go to the summit by becoming a mountaineer and coming back with a social cause. And so that was the start of this journey. Though what was very unique is that at that moment, I also heard that the local name for Everest in Tibetan is Chomolungma, which means mother of the world. And so here I was making this powerful promise in front of the mother of the world. And it kind of also looked scary. And so it was actually what really inspired me to become a mountaineer. And that's when I told myself, well, if I want to come back, why don't I try to do this thing called the 7 Summits? Start from, once again, very pragmatic, start from the easiest to the hardest, and, let's embrace this new side. And so that's what literally led me into this path.
It's so powerful. There's something that you say in your book that I really loved in regards to climbing these massive mountains. And you said, rules don't apply here. Ego and brute force guarantee little around here. You saw Navy SEALs and seasoned climbers not make it to the top, yet you did. What was it about that sense of a level playing field that impacted your healing process?
Wow, it's a great question, Melanie. I feel that for me is the way that possibly I looked at mountains. I wasn't there to conquer. I wasn't there to impose. If anything, I've developed allergies whenever people tell me, you've conquered Everest. I'm like, no. I mean, who are we to say that? I mean, just look at our ego on that degree. These mountains have been in existence for millions of years, and they're going to be here even when we're gone. And so the way that I always had my relationship with nature and mountains was very much of a lot of respect. I treated it like my temple. I felt they gave me the space to be vulnerable, to be all of myself. I never felt any judgment. And I think that was always my attitude. I had possibly, even before Everest, I had at about 3 different occasions, really hard moments of breakdowns in the mountains. I had to surrender. And so being in these spaces, I think just showed me that, the attitude, the ego, it can only take you so far. And I think having the attitude of just selflessness, of respect, of trying to be in commune with nature is literally what I think allowed me these opportunities. I always had the highest respect. Every single day I was on my expedition in Everest, I would go spend time in front of the altar. We had a little puja altar, and I will give gratitude for just having an extra day. I never took it for granted. And definitely even didn't think I was going to be that lucky to make it to the top of the very first. But it showed me that, yeah, I mean, the ego, the noise is just simple noise, which, and that's one of the things that I love about having these experiences in the mountain world, because it applies anywhere. And it really highlights it. But yeah, the big talking doesn't really get you that far at times.
The mountains gave you a sense of belonging. That's what I'm hearing you say. I mean, at one point, you asked yourself if perhaps the drive to climb was to literally fall over the edge and end it all. Like, where on this path of summiting did you feel you turned a corner away from thinking about dying to really thinking about living?
It was actually during our final push to the summit. We had to climb the mountain, almost have 3 rotations to get acclimated, to get the right comfort zone. And it was on our final push. We were moving, I think we were on our 3rd day, and we were moving from Camp 2 to about Camp 3. We were getting closer to around 24,000 feet. And unexpectedly, we come across a horrible storm. One that actually almost kills all of us. It was possibly one of the worst situations that I've ever found myself. And I felt my mortality. And I remember crawling to get inside my tent. I was alone. Our team had dispersed. And I remember just having this blockage. And it was that possibly experience that allowed me to feel that I wanted to live, that I wasn't ready, that, this wasn't so much of a suicide mission for me. It was more about, I had given appreciation for the experience that I had, for the beauty of the sights that I had seen, but I really had this willingness to really wanted to stay alive. And I think that was pivotal. I mean, I kind of remember telling myself, yeah, this has been a messy life and I still want to be around. And I was ready to quit. I at that point, I remember telling myself, I want to live and I don't think I can do this. I mean, I don't think I can continue forward. I was just too scared. And one of my female guides came inside, and as I was telling her, I can't go any further. I love my life. I really want to be able to stay alive. She told me, like, Sylvia, you have it in you. We're going to go together. I was able to actually be vulnerable to her, express my emotion. I remember telling her, like, God, I'm afraid. I've had all this fear. I kind of started feeling vertigo. And she normalized it. She said, listen, this is something that happens. It's okay. We will have our bad days. You are going to be okay. You have it in you. We're going together. And those words, I think, made me also, it brought me a sense of belonging, that I really had this opportunity of being in this circle with the rest of these climbers to continue going forward. And I think if she might have not said that to me, I possibly would have just left over there.
I mean, the power of community is really what I hear you say in terms of that sense of belonging. And at some point in this journey, you got the idea for your nonprofit organization called Courageous Girls, which helps young survivors of sexual abuse overcome their trauma through climbing mountains. Tell us more.
Yes. When that very first time when I went to the base of Everest, I had made a promise to come back with a social cause. And that took me a long time to determine what it was, which I think is always interesting. Whenever we put a purpose, whenever we put ourselves in service, we need to trust that sometimes that's going to take a little bit of time. And for me, I remember trying multiple times, maybe this is going to fit, maybe I should do this. Maybe I should actually, climb on behalf of other people. And it was actually after I had one of my most difficult years, 2013, I had lost my mother to cancer. I had gone through a painful divorce, that I remember taking myself to climb another one of the 7 summits. So I was down in Aconcagua. And the night before the summit, I started being unsure of my ability to continue going. I was getting altitude headaches. And I remember that evening, I had a massive breakdown. I started crying. I was lucky that My tent mate was snoring, so his snores actually didn't make it too embarrassing for me to cry and let go. But I remember what I was doing. I was opening up my heart. I was surrendering to that experience. And the next day, I was able to continue my journey. I was able to summit. And that evening after the summit, my mission to bring survivors of sexual abuse and give them the opportunity to experience healing in nature came very clear. It was almost as if the mountain was having compassion towards me and being like, you've been looking for this? Here it is. I felt I got my orders. And that, made it simple for me. Okay, well, it's going to be a crazy idea to convince people, but it is coming from a sacred place. It's coming from vulnerability. It happened while I was in the mountains. Let's do it. And that's what was so amazing. I mean, it started with inspiration of almost working with these young women, and they kind of became my guinea pigs to see if even they could experience the healing that I did. And the beautiful part is that they did. And that is part of what the journey, I feel that working with them before going for my own journey climbing Everest, I mean, going through that base camp experience together really opened me up. I mean, it kept me very grounded. It taught me so much. It actually taught me about belonging, about vulnerability in ways that I think it prepared me for the rest of my expedition.
I'm really struck by your clarity, and I could truly ask you questions for hours, but we're nearing the end of our session. And so I want to close with one final question. When you think about not only your personal journey, your corporate journey, what are some tips or ways that we can foster a sense of belonging in our communities, especially when considering the many seen and invisible layers of identity that all of us bring?
Wow, great question, Melanie. I think my humble advice, it starts with the self. I think, and as you had mentioned, it's one of the ethos for Google, but for us to really being able to look at a mirror and actually really accepting ourselves and having to embrace some of these difficult experiences and maybe we're out of our control. So trying to find ourselves, trying to find that whole side of us is number one. I would say the other part is be open to listen. We're going through some incredible times. And I think it's going to take showing up, whole, being able to listen, being able to be brave and vulnerable. I think that can create a really powerful way of us creating belonging, extending it to others. And I mean, for the work that Google is doing, the impact that you guys have had in all of our lives, I'm a massive user and I've benefited so much of it. I think it's a beautiful purpose that every single person at Google is engaging. And I think some of these tidbits, it's in all of you guys. So, it's my little humble learnings or lessons.
Thank you, Sylvia, for sharing your bravery, your journey, and your inclusion techniques with all of us. I lived in Albuquerque for 2.5 years, and I had the wonderful experience of starting my own hiking journey while I was there, the mountains, the sunrise, the sunset. So I really feel that spiritual connection that you're talking about. To our attendees, be sure to pick up Sylvia's book, In the Shadow of the Mountain, at your local bookstore. I hope that you will incorporate her inclusion and belonging teachings from today in your communities. Thank you, Sylvia.
Thank you, Melanie. Thank you for this incredible opportunity. Thank you to Google Cloud Next. And wow, I'm inspired. Albuquerque, why not? Thank you so much.
Thanks again, and thank you all for joining us at our DEI keynote. Enjoy the rest of Cloud Next.
Hi, I'm Shaquille O'Neal, and I'm the founder of Big Chicken. So you got to do that at the end when you say Big Chicken.
Big Chicken is Shaquille O'Neal's emerging fast casual restaurant chain that focuses on big fun, big flavor, and big food. When you're trying to build a national chain, Communication is so critical. To do that, you need a great partner. And we're really lucky that partner is Google Workspace.
You know, Josh, every time he does a presentation, he just loves Google Slides.
As the person responsible for our marketing, probably the best at Google Slides.
His presentations is like I'm at a movie sometime. I'm just sitting there going.
I've got some great new chicken sandwiches for you to try. Brand new recipes. Isn't there something important we're supposed to be talking about? Good recipe development comes with collaboration. Using Docs in Google Workspace gives us the tools we need to collaborate together.
Shaquille's life gets crazy busy, as does our entire board.
When you want to talk to me, make sure you put on my Google Calendar. Google Calendar is my girlfriend. I don't know anything I'm doing unless I talk to my woman. Google Workspace, productivity and collaboration tools for all the ways you work.
Google's infrastructure powers services for billions of people.
And then Google Cloud takes those lessons from running these services in order to deliver an innovative and easy-to-use cloud infrastructure.
Today, Google Cloud helps users automate the lifecycle of their workloads.
In the future, we'll use AI to understand workload patterns and do this automatically.
Intelligently optimizing for higher performance with lower latency, cost, and power consumption.
Today, we optimize our infrastructure for AI/ML and your data, ensuring that it is accessible anywhere.
But we're not stopping there. Chiplets are a new design and manufacturing process that brings open source agility to the world of silicon by using a building block approach.
Custom chips for a vast range of configurations.
Sustainability is important to us because our planet depends on it, and we will operate on 24/7 carbon-free energy by 2030. Every email you send through Gmail, or every question you ask Search, and every virtual machine you spin up across our cloud will be supplied by carbon-free energy every hour of every day.
We are reinventing infrastructure, where AI-based automation will recommend the most efficient design for your workloads based on your usage.
And we'll run them on Google's unique infrastructure, optimized specifically for you.
All of this delivered on the cleanest public cloud in the world.
This is our next. We can't wait to see what you do with it.
Today, it's uncertain.
It's gonna be a crazy day, Huey.
It's also unwritten.
Got this.
Today is the day we can